According to the books of Nehemiah and Ezra, it details the return of the Jews to their homeland. So, King Cyrus of the Persians had a vision from God to allow the Jews to return to Jerusalem to build a new temple. The Jews returned back with plenty of gold and silver to decorate the new temple with. But trouble begins because many of their enemies start harassing them because they don't want this new temple to be built. This delays construction for many years, but eventually they did manage to accomplish the job. Then two prophets come to guide the people, Ezra being the first. He reads the commandments and tells the people to repent, which they do. Next comes Nehemiah. He tells the people to rebuild the wall around the city and the gates as well. Again, they were harassed by their enemies, but God blessed them and ensured that their work would happen, and it did. The walls and gates were restored, and Nehemiah then tells the people to live righteously to God, and he also sets up many policies for the Jews to follow. Afterwards, many years go by, and the Jews for the most part have overcome their idolatry and live very religiously and righteously. Eventually, the Persian Empire falls by a young conqueror named Alexander the Great. According to a Jewish historian named Josephus, who lived in the 1st century AD, Alexander eventually reached Jerusalem. They were afraid that he and his army would destroy the city, as he had done previously to many others, so the high priest at the time, a man named Jaddua, went out to meet with him. Alexander was taken aback by the sight of the high priest and went into the city peacefully. Once inside, the high priest showed Alexander the writings of Daniel and how he predicted the rise of the Greek Empire just about 180 years before Alexander was even born. Sorry. So Alexander thought he was pretty much divine and that he had divine blood running through his veins because his mother had filled his head with such statements. So witnessing this, it only probably boosted his confidence, knowing that his conquering of the Persian Empire was prophecy destined to happen. He quickly took to the fact that this prophecy related to him, and this caused the Jews to have great favor in his sight. He allowed the Jews to keep their own laws and gave them a break from paying tribute. And usually when he conquered cities, he would rename them, but he basically allowed Jerusalem to remain as Jerusalem. So basically things go pretty well for the Jews for a while, but until eventually Alexander dies at the young age of 32. After this, many years pass by, and eventually a new and more powerful force conquers the whole world, and that is the Roman Empire. The Romans basically place a man named Herod as king of the Jews.